Good Sunday afternoon. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Pleasant Valley in Camarillo, California's wonderful service. Have a great time today.
Good Sunday, everybody. Hi there. I'm Reverend Lynn Chaplain-Noe from the Center for Spiritual Living, Pleasant Valley in Camarillo, California. And we have a wonderful, uplifting spiritual service for you today and a wonderful discussion. Quite a cast. We have, of course, our spiritual leader, Reverend Pamella Geagan. And we have, as usual, our wonderful quote by Reverend Betty Ann Brennan. Pamella Bailey is our lead practitioner, is going to be giving our treatment, and she's our practitioner of the day. Buzz Noe is going to tell us what the buzz is. Alberto Del Pino is going to be playing his amazing guitar for us, and probably some wonderful words as well. And of course, we have today Dr. Sue Rubin in the discussion. So it's going to be a great morning. So our vision statement here at our center is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And the way we do that is teaching and demonstrating spiritual principles for living an abundant and fulfilling life in a welcoming, compassionate community. And these are our flames of faith. We believe there is one power, one source, and that there are many paths to that source. And by lighting these flames of faith, we honor all religions: Buddhism, Sufism, Christianity, Hinduism, Sufism, and all others that step forward in love. There is that one fine thread that connects all religions, and that thread is love. We are love, we come from love, and we honor our oneness in us all. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our lead practitioner, Pamella Bailey, with Reverend Betty Ann Brennan's quote for the day.
Thank you, Reverend Lynn. And can somebody display the text of the quote, please? Oh,
Yes.
I think Lynn's going to read it. She's going to unmute herself to read it. Yeah, thanks.
I have it up here. Yeah, nice and big and loud. I set my spiritual sails to catch the winds of change and propel me into wonderful new experiences. And that's by Reverend Betty Ann Brennan. Thank you. And now I think we have Pam, who's going to introduce Daniel Namoud.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you, Reverend Lynn, so much. And you know, this is a good time and an opportunity. First of all, we're going to have Daniel Namoud on about empty, and his song is Empty Hands, and it's about being open and receptive to the winds of change, which we're talking about. But also it's time to share that as we hold our wonderful Reverend Betty Ann Brennan in consciousness, as Ram Dass said, she's been stroked. And we know that she is repairing and revealing her wholeness right now. This happened yesterday, and we will keep you in the know and in the buzz, as Buzz would say. But just hold her in your thoughts and prayers, knowing that she is back. And as the kids used to say when I was growing up, and she's bad, which means she's very good. Now, on this, welcome Daniel Namoud with Empty Hands.
When my hands were emptied, gone, I couldn't help but wonder what had I done wrong. But even though my heart was broken, there was no need to despair, 'cause a vessel must be open to put something better there. Oh yeah. Into my empty hands, gently you pour new life for me. Yours is a perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. So forgive me when I doubted, and I admit sometimes I do, or consider giving up, 'cause I cannot see the truth. I know I'll never go without your deep and abiding love. Oh, love. Into my empty hands, gently you pour new life for me. Yours is a perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. Gently you pour new life for me. Yours is a perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. And I cannot help but cry to think of the gifts you've given me. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. Oh, thank you for thank you for thank you for my empty hands.
And now it is my honor to introduce Buzz Noe, our poet laureate with What's the Buzz?
Thank you, Reverend Pam. And I will be coming on with the announcements soon. But first, I'd like to start with an opening affirmative prayer for us all to get into today and be in the positive mindset that will allow us to be open and aware for the lesson we're going to hear from Reverend Pam and Reverend Dr. Sue. So with that in mind, let's know along with me at this particular point, these words, as I say them in the first person, please make them your own. For I know that right here and right now, in this singular momentary moment, in the continuing evolution of time and space, there is one source to all that is, one infinite power that expresses infinite love, infinite creative energy to bring forth everything in our lives, in the world, and in this universe. We refer to this one infinite power as God, for there is one God, one source to all that is. And I am here. And as part of that manifestation from the one source, connected to everything that is manifested, all that is part of who I am and connected to what I am and what I express. And I know that through that expression, as I come forth motivated primarily by love and adding to that kindness, compassion, generosity, and caring for everyone and everything that is in this world and in this universe, I know that my life will continue to unfold perfectly. And I know that as I open my mind, my consciousness, my ears and my eyes to hear the lesson of winds of change, knowing that every day of our lives, every moment, there is change. And as I am open to receiving and accepting and knowing these changes are there for my continual divine blessing, I will receive that blessing. I will be able to find my way to enjoy this life as it unfolds for me, with me, and through me. And I know that as I express my oneness with God in my activity as the creative source of God as me, that my life will continue to be all that I desire, all that I will need to continue to have the joy of life in my life. And I'm excited to know that this will be affirmed by our reverends later on. And I thank God for the awareness of this ability to create my life through my consciousness, and to be able to be here to hear what the reverends have to say about the winds of change and how it affects our lives on an ongoing reality. And I release these words of oneness, joy, acceptance, and creativity to the oneness that is God, knowing that as I say these words, know them to be so, and accept them as valid in my life, they are indeed manifest for me right here and right now. Together we can close by saying in unison, and so it is. And so it is that we will soon hear from our reverends. Right now, I'd like to go with our announcements for today. And as I said, we will soon hear from Reverend Pam and Reverend Sue with words of wisdom for me and you. Winds of Change is their discussion title, with thoughts and ideas that we will find vital to bring our lives the divine blessings to stay. So here are the announcements for today. At 9 a.m. weekdays on Facebook Live, Reverend Pam's Morning Meditations will allow you to thrive. This week's theme is Law of Attraction. Tune in to bring your divine perfection into action. At 7 p.m. Thursdays, also on Facebook Live, our midweek spiritual uplift will boost your divine drive. Savina Altanova is host for this week's session. Whatever I focus on expands is the title for her uplifting lesson. At 10 a.m. April 25th, the fourth Sunday of the month, Lisa Coffey will be back with a lesson you will want. Swami S. is this month's special guest. His words and wisdom will make you feel blessed. So please join in with Lisa on Zoom prior to the Sunday lesson. Constant Contact has the link info for you to attend this session. And do keep in mind, our center is always here for you. So please let us know what we can do. The spiritual treatment that we provide will lessen your stress and allow you to thrive. You can call and leave a request by phone or send an email from wherever you roam. And we trust someday that we can meet again live. Until then, our center will help us to thrive. So please do donate to keep our center going so we can be here to keep your wellness flowing. Two other places where you can lend a hand. So please do give them whatever you can. Ventura County Rescue Mission provides the homeless with much good. And Ventura County Food Share feeds the needy in our hood. A reminder that our center is part of Ralph's Community Contribution Program. A portion of whatever you spend at the store gives our center a small donation or more. So please do sign up or simply renew, and Ralph's will contribute at no cost to you. Our center's code number is JE859. You can sign up at the store or do it online. Another way to help our center for a while is to shop online using Amazon Smile. When you complete your purchase for the items you got, it'll donate to our center right on the spot. And finally, though we're still not able to gather live together, we can all still enjoy this lovely spring weather. So have some fun today, and that's it for the announcements for today. We will soon hear from our musical inspiration for the day. It's Alberto Pino. I'm happy to say he's here to help us enjoy what he has to play. Thank you. Here you are, Alberto.
Thank you, Buzz, and thank you, everybody. And welcome, and good morning, everybody. And winds of change. Well, as soon as I heard that
Alberto,
was,
you may be on mute.
He's not, I can hear.
Okay.
Oh.
I wonder why I can.
Can you all hear me?
You're loud and clear for the stream.
Okay. So good morning, everybody, and winds of change. When I heard that the theme was winds of change for today, I could only think of one song that really changed the whole musical panorama in Europe in the 17th century. And this song that is considered to be the first Baroque expression of that type of music in Europe, in France, was composed by Robert de Vizet, who was the lutenist at the court of Louis XIV, the so-called Sun King of France. And Robert de Vizet composed this piece of music that it's called the Bourrée in D minor, which is considered the first Baroque piece in history. Before that, music was pretty much what we would describe Renaissance music, but it's really the enrichment of the polyphony and the new type of expressions that Mr. Robert de Vizet brought to the scene, to the musical scene in France, that really changed the whole world of music. He is said that, scholars say that he influenced Bach, and then after that Mozart, and everybody that came after him. So Robert de Vizet was really the guy that initiated this new genre, if you will, this new style of music that we now call Baroque. And this piece in particular, it's his first expression of Baroque. So here we go with the Bourrée in D minor.
Roberto, that was absolutely stunningly beautiful. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Perfect
Thank-
for today.
Thank
And now
you.
it is my honor to introduce our wonderful Reverend Dr. Sue Rubin, who is, as I always say, she's a quick study. I called her last night once I know that Betty Ann needed time, and she came right on. Thank you so much, Dr. Sue, for being with us today. And I just I just want to start with a story that actually CSL sent out, and it's a story that matches the winds of change. And then I'm going to turn this over to you. And there's a lake, and there's Lake Leman on Geneva in Switzerland, and it's situated between the Alps and the Jura Mountains. And there are more than 70 different winds there. And on the day when there is very little wind, sailors scan the becalmed lake looking for any ripples on the water. When they locate them, the skipper then changes direction and heads towards the disturbances to find the wind that is blowing there. The sails fill up and the boat receives extra great power to sail away quickly towards its destination. And those who are most successful in locating disturbances on the water reach their destination and complete the race that they are in, or their destination where they have wanted to be. And so they, in essence, have embraced the change of winds, the winds of change.
Talking about that, the affirmation that was on the screen from Betty Ann this morning, be aware, it talked about my sails are set for the winds of change within my life, and I gracefully let that be. And I think those winds start blowing in that very instant that we take cognizance of the change that's always blowing, that wind, that breath of spirit through us. Here's something that I found. There is a song, and it's The Wind of Change, singular. And it was written in the late 1980s to commemorate the coming down of the Berlin Wall. It was written by a German gentleman who had a rock band called Scorpion. Anybody remember? Someone out there must. But the words are gorgeous, and it really is a ballad. It's not a rock or heavy metal. It's a very soft and mellow song. The lyrics are phenomenal, if anybody is of curiosity. And some references are made to Moscow because they did a tour in Russia, also about the same time that Petroyska and the downfall of the Soviet Union also were happening. But the lyrics, just as a sample, listening to the wind of change. The world is closing in. Can you feel it everywhere? Blowing with the wind of change, which takes me to the magic of this moment. Visiting down the street, walking, distant memories I follow. Take me to the magic of the moment, to the change that is now. My brothers and my sisters. So to know that there's something in us which is always propelling. You can't be propelled by an outer object unless there's a willingness to be carried by it. And so we know that change is a remarkable constant. We can intellectualize it and declare it as being so. The bottom line is when change happens, it's like brakes go on, skid marks. No, I don't feel like moving in that direction. And so most usually change is the initiation of a new beginning. If you put I happen to be watching a soccer game, a soccer ball sits there. It's not going anywhere until some object or some form with momentum that it initiates gives it the push, and off goes the ball. Well, that's usually what happens, as all of us have probably experienced and referred to, the 2x4, the awakening, the divorce, the loss, the something of that dark night of the soul, which brings us to a halt from all the running and chasing and grabbing and controlling, just asking to be still and to be quiet and to learn and to listen and see what is that greater idea. I was listening, talking about Ram Dass, I was listening to some of his very much earlier tapes. And in fact, one particularly after he had just had one of his psychedelic experiences with Tim Leary. And he was talking about how he experienced this moment of real shift from the ordinary state of awareness that we all operate in, do business, take care of things in the home or out of the home, however that looks, and forgetting often, oh, I didn't meditate today, or was I consciously aware in this moment of any moment today of the presence? And so when he had this dramatic, radical shift, he had one visual object. One was he saw himself in a coffin and started grieving the loss of some part of himself that he knew was happening. And then he heard very vividly his guru, Baba's voice, asking very quietly, Ram Dass, who will you be when you are finished being who you think you are now?
Oh, powerful, very.
What a lesson, a question for all of us. Who will I be?
Well, you know, Ram Dass falls into, and he did this without drugs, you know. He went to India loaded up with drugs, with LSD, and the guru, basically his guru said, and met him, and he said, you just dreamt of your mother who went to the heaven world. He didn't say it in those words, those are my words. And Ram Dass said, how did you know that? And then Ram Dass said, yeah, but the only way I can be at what you describe is how you are naturally, teacher, guru, whatever he called him, is it takes me drugs to do that. And so I'll never forget this, his guru, I think it was Baba Meyer, or what, or Maya,
Slowly.
Yes. So anyway, and he handed it, and he said, give me your acid. And he had handed him all 40 tabs of acid, and his guru took it, and there was no change because the guru was already in that mysticism, in that oneness. That is where he resided all the time. And from that point forward, Ram Dass realized that change and that who he saw that was in that coffin and no longer existed was just the shell of who he was. Who he was in that oneness, in that mystical experience of the everythingness. And then that's when he came home and wrote, you know, be here now in this oneness, in this expansiveness, and quit fighting the change, quit controlling, go into the beingness and away from all of the intellectual, outlining everything, every moment of your life. Just go with the flow. Bring that wall down. We're going back to Ronald Reagan with bring that wall down. And that's what he was feeling at that time. It was way before the wall came down between East and West Germany. But it is interesting. And I'm just going to go back to one more thing about change. It is so wonderful. We're together in spiritual community when big changes happen. And I love that Ram Dass, I thought of him immediately with I have been stroked, which changes the whole thing. Even that change in his life after his stroke, his brilliance continued to inspire, millions around the world.
And continues today. You know, the work goes on. I was just thinking, I wonder if Ernest Holmes ever took acid, ever had an acid trip.
It was interesting because in the 50s is when they found it. Who knows? I mean, Cary Grant went to a psychiatrist to try and be more in his heart space. And that's why ecstasy was created too. It was created in the psychiatric community to help you connect in relationships. And so was acid. And
Cary Grant, they say, I don't know for sure, but they say he was used a lot of acid after that, so he could remain in his heart. All barriers down, and that opening into the world that is so much more expansive once we get out of those barriers.
So the wind of change, sometimes that's exactly what it takes, coming to the brink of a terrible downfall from alcoholism or drug abuse or human abuse. You know, it takes that awakening to, is this who I think I am? Is this the life that I believe is right for me? If I claim to be an individualization of the presence and power of the divine. I was thinking also to so many times in my own life when I can relate to having that sense of complacency and just kind of drifting along. And then those rare moments when something out of any logical sense of intelligence seems to be the catalyst for a new beginning, rather than remaining in the resistance to controlling the old, which is still my caveat as I see everything starting to open up more widely now in our city and through other cities, while other cities are not experiencing anything other than now an increase in rates of disease. So I think to myself that clutching to the old, let's go back to business as usual. And we can't, not if we are thinking rational, clear-minded, and pure-hearted individuals on a spiritual path, regardless of what that path is. If it is, as Jack Cornfield says, if it's a path that leads you out of the veiling, which the mind veils us from the heart, the mind humanly will continue to keep us focused on what should be and what must be if you are to retain your position, your hierarchy in the levels of human living, success and prosperity in every way of your life that flaunts and proves to the world that you're a success. If ever we are to really claim the true secondary existence of abundance, it's like talking about money. I mean, really, money is such a state of mind, a sense of who we are. And without knowing how to give and receive of any sense of giving, of love, of kindness, of generosity, then the wind is momentarily quieted, stagnant within ourselves, using it as a metaphor for spirit, for that creative spirit that when left to an open door will walk through it. It will not, as the saying goes, storm the gates of heaven. That creative force will go at the pace we're going. And that therein lies the healing and the rub. Because unless I open that door and continue to keep it open through spiritual practice, then literally it's a dormant, infinite power and possibility, but it doesn't live through the life that I'm offering. So that question just has stirred me to my boots. Like, who are you willing to be when you finish being who you think you are? All the facades, the mother and the daughter who was, and the sister I was, and the minister that still ministers, and yet the role, the podium that no longer exists in that forum. How easy it is to still retain our complete identity based on who we were when we were doing what we were doing, rather than who am I now being when I am consciously aware that everything is a manifestation of the spirit, everything. The people who annoy me the most are my best illustrations of the wind of change, quietly reminding me this too is God in essence, in truth. And if it's not evidenced in behavior, well, then your judgment doesn't help matters. It only contributes to more of a stagnant position in consciousness. This is our time, all of us, to be so strong in speaking the truth. That was the message. That was perennial. It was like continually offered to Ram Dass personally, but that we're offering to everyone to this day in different words perhaps, but it's like love everyone and tell the truth. And telling the truth, I think, in fact, when Ram Dass was telling the story and his guru said that, he said, I can't do that. If I do that and I'm honest, I don't love everybody. Do you love everybody? Do I love everybody? No, we say it, but it's become such a catchphrase. Love you, mwah, mwah, huggy, huggy, kissy, kissy. You know, but the substance of it is like, God, I thought she'd never go home, or I thought he would never stop talking. You know, that's not we attain, which is unconditional love, which can we really? I think we can be less conditional in our loving. I'm not too sure about humans at this level of our enlightenment being unconditional. That's a tall order.
You know, I was taught someplace along the line, or I taught myself even, that I'm really aware that I believe, first of all, we now know by science, this is scientifically proven, that everything is consciousness. And so those layers of, you used to say, anything I ever let go of had scratch marks on it. And, and it is hard. And I'm still, I mean, I say these things, but what I know for sure is that we can change on a moment. We can be in that shift and that change because that's how the world is. But when we hold on, we block all that energy right here and right now. And they now, you know, they know that consciousness in this flow, in this synchronicity, it's happening more and more and more to those who have been quietly connected. We end up having the same thoughts many times, which are higher thoughts. If you are, and this is what I started to say, in this third dimension, which is a dense dimension. First of all, everything I've heard, this is woo-woo, but it is metaphysical. If you have chosen to be in this earth life, first of all, you are so fortunate. You are one of the few chosen out of the gabillions of people, all gabillions of souls trying to reach in, because this is the planet of emotion. And in this third dimension, all of the things, all of our mirrors come up. As you said, when someone comes up and irritates you beyond measure, it's what in me is finding this irritating, because if you spot it, you got it. So those who are our mirror and irritate us the most, look deep within, because without the recognition, you have that too. With the recognition, you have that too. Without recognition, you could just move forward, be honest, and not be attached in any way. And also just in this planet of emotion, we are here to deepen our hearts, to connect to our hearts. As Ram Dass said, just love. I think there's love unconditionally in the sense that there's love with detachment. You don't have to be that person. You don't have to go, mwah, 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 as you said, and hug and kiss them. You can just say, like the Southern girls say, bless their hearts. She's so ugly. She's been beat with an ugly stick. Bless her heart. So I turn this over. You can do it with detachment, and how you feel about things, and state your truth. Yeah.
You can, yeah, we all can, but do we is the other idea. So if the template for love is divine, that's its origin, the very idea that we can talk about love. Oh, I love my new car, I love my dog, I love objects. The very fact that I think unilaterally everyone has at some point loved an object. And so if that's the case, that's the template. That's like that seed that has been planted called love. It's a quality of being. It's a state of heart, of mind. And so if indeed I am only living from that state, then that's the way my life continues, and many lives do. It's a replay of not being, as Mary Morrissey used to say, have you lived 80 years, 80 separate years, 80 times, or have you lived 80 times 80 times the same thing, or one time, over and over again. So the idea is, if I can start extending my love from the object to start tracing it back, well, how come I can even love at all, or feel affection, or have this impulse to be kind and generous? How is that even possible? The dawning of an idea that transcends the physical form and starts coming alive within me, as long as I keep feeding it and meditating upon it and living in that conscious awareness. When I'm out and about safely, let me be consciously aware that the very food I pick up in my hand when I'm grocery shopping, this is God, an idea that was implemented by people, because people, the person who's now checking me out with this food, is an expression of God, manifest to play this reciprocal game, to dance, this interactive, interconnective way of living in a way that frees. So, it's often said that interior awakening is nothing if ultimately it doesn't change our behavior and our actions. So really, some of the stuff I do, it's like that little quirky voice, I kindly refer to it as, why are you still doing that? Why are you such a slave to habit, to simple things that I find shift, for God's sakes? They used to say, do your shopping in a totally new market, or go down a different aisle. But if you think about it, if I think about it, I go down the same aisle, it's the same market, the same pattern, that groove that Thomas Trord talked about. It's the groove. This is the way she does what she does when she's here.
It's interesting too, and the reason we do that is because it's comfortable and we don't have to think. So what do we in the beginning is, what did you just see? You've said it 2 or 3 times.
You cracked
about what am I going to be when I'm done being what I think I should be?
Who am I willing to be after who I think I am now? I'm finished being her, him. I know that's awkward.
Yeah.
Like, who am I willing to be now when I'm finished being who I think I am? So at first I have to start from the back end and say, well, who do I think I am? Well, I'm pretty good, thank God, alive, well, and cranking and teaching and loving truth, and at the ripe age of 34, that's not bad.
Me too. Yeah. One of those coinkydinks. We're both 34.
I mean, it's an achievement. So it's like,
yeah. Well,
but if I say,
you've been in my life a long time, and I want to point out 2 things. First of all, you've changed radically. Since I've known you, since you came to Westlake, gosh, it has to be over 25 years ago at least. And I have to go back and do the math. And the other thing is I'll never forget, you gave us an assignment one time in our class at Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley, where we had to bring something we loved and give it up. And everything I picked up, it was the hardest thing I ever did. Well, so-and-so gave me that and I love it. And it makes me happy just to look at it. It was so difficult. And I want you to know how much you succeeded. I don't know what it is that I finally gave up, but I can't even remember what it was now. And so it made me so happy in that moment. And the happiness is what we're all seeking. The new car, we always go back to whatever that is. And Sue, you can tell me about this. I've never figured out money. We have this piece of paper now that we exchange. We're on the barter system. This piece of paper that says it's $10, $20 is now getting me these goods that took you know, the old thing about it took from the workers in South America to bring the bananas to the boat, and the boat workers to load them on, and then the boat workers take the bananas off and bring them to the, you know, the stores, and then the stores have to price them and do all the, you display them, and then I get this banana from these bananas for $20, and there's nothing to back it here. There's no gold backing this now. There's no gold standard. So where is this good coming from? It's coming from source, and you can name it and do it whatever you want to do with that money in the bank. Like Scrooge McDuck, I always love him throwing up the money, counting his money. I always love that, and following it shower down on you. And as a matter of fact, Ernest Holmes' practitioner, oh my gosh, she was so famous, and it started with a P. But anyway, she would do that. She would sit in her bed and throw all the money up in the air and have it pour down over her for richness, for affirmations and prayers for richness.
And Raymond Charles Barker,
Yeah.
famous mostly for his powerful book, The Power of Your Dreams. And he would say, very simple, money is God in action. And to the degree you're aware of that activity of the divine happening through you in every way, then why is money any different? You know, we differentiate. A cold is easier to heal. Cancer, not so. We break things down when in reality, the infinite, the ultimate, the universal, there is no big or small. It's one great mind that covers all territory without the intrusion, ideally, of our judgment about this is too hard, this is too easy. And so the game goes on, and the awakening is available in each and every moment if we choose to take it. Remember, Mission Impossible, the mission that's yours if you choose to take it, is living from source, living from that oneness, living from the awareness that there is nothing I could ever desire that is not attainable and manifestable when I put myself out of the picture humanly with all my reservations and observations and preconceived beliefs and limitations, and just see what happens if I let the winds of change that represent a change for the greater always, because it is the infinite, let them have their way through me. Why not?
And that is a great close, and I would love for you to do a treatment at the end, and especially in this time when I want to control what's happening with Betty Ann. I don't want it to be, but when we have such a wonderful role model as a Ram Dass, who came solely from spirit, eventually when he got there, and in his greatest years, at the end, not his greatest years, but in the end, the stroke is what gave him even more insight into the pain and suffering, and not the pain and suffering, but how you take those winds of change and you continue to give your good on this planet. And I turn this back over to you to close this out, Dr. Sue.
And you know, I acknowledge absolutely everything you just said about Ram Dass. And the bottom line, Robert Bitzer, the wonderful minister originally from the Hollywood Church of Religious Science, used to say particularly to ministers at a conference, he would say, you know, with really a compassion in his heart, and he was not the softest guy in the world, but he would say, you know, it's terrific that you ministers, you've healed cancer and you've come out of a stroke and you've overcome abuse or divorce or whatever the struggle has been. And then he would pause and he'd say, but you don't have to do that. You really don't. And that's not a judgment if that's what happens, because that's life saying, here's your cup of tea for today. What are you going to make of it? You're going to add sugar, or you're going to toss it in the sink? What, a little lemon? Keep drinking. It's soothing. You'll get it. You'll get it. So, I mean, there's just such a variety of human experiences. And the only remainder of anything that lasts always is the fact that at core level, at ground zero, in our divine essence and very breath of being, we are always and eternally whole, complete, and perfect. Nothing will ever change that part of ourselves. The one that's in the hospital now, Betty, that part of her remains going on, as joyous and light sharing and giving and being as ever. And the more we give our attention to and identify with that truth, as I'm about to do right now, then things do alter. And we're no longer out of balance, but suddenly we are in total balance and perfect relationship with that which we are. And so in that which we are, there are two words that clearly identify that. And the words are I am. That is our divine nature. That is God's name of itself that each one of us speaks. We're the only ones who speak those words for ourselves. And so this is the truth I know for me and about everyone, everywhere. And these words are personal to, for, and as everyone, everywhere. And so I take inner counsel from the realization that the inner teacher, the inner lover, the beloved of my soul, holds me in the comfort of its eternal arms of everlasting, unconditional love. Wherever I am and whatever my unique condition or temporary situation is, this is the changeless that strongly and yet kindly and compassionately reminds me, as the scripture said, lo, I am with you always, even until the ends of the earth. For I am the Lord thy God, and I in the midst of you are mighty. Look unto me and be saved. All is well, for wherever thou art, I am that which thou art, and thou art that which I am. And so this sends the blood circulating throughout my system in an animated way, more fully than if I don't consciously refer to my oneness with the divine. Something happens the very instant I say, God is, I am. God is all there is, and all that God is, I potentially am. And I choose to harness the energy of wholeness, of harmony, of creativity, of peace, of faith, of conviction that withstands all of the winds of change, the ones that are frightening and the ones that beckon me forward to be that which I am created to be. As soon as I declare myself finished with being who I thought I was. And so I move forward in harmony with all my divine family members, each one by supporting themselves divinely, supporting everyone else in knowing that everything works together for good. Wholeness, harmony, health, love, truth, beauty are forever right where I am and intelligently outpicturing thanks to the interaction of love and law. I give thanks, I accept, I let it be so, for one and for all, and so it is.
I love you, Dr. Sue. Thank you so much. And now it's my honor to introduce wonderfully back Alberto Del Pino. And I'm so sorry, my microphone went out on my earphones. That's why I was talking over you last time, Alberto.
Oh.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
So, as a second song for today, I decided to pick up this one that pretty much the whole world knows. But what maybe people don't really know much about this composer, who was Franz Schubert. Schubert in 1825 wrote this piece of music that it's called the Ave Maria, after so many others have done so. But Schubert really, he was, and now everybody knows Schubert, who Franz Schubert is, but at the time when he was living, he was in constant competition, without him wanting to, with Beethoven, who was super famous at the time. So Schubert kind of lived in the shadow of Beethoven, and Beethoven was German and Franz Schubert was Austrian. There was also a rivalry in that. But the main thing was that Beethoven was such a giant of music at the time, and Schubert came out in such a humble way, and yet challenged himself in writing something where everybody from Bach to Mozart to everybody in history has written an Ave Maria. And Schubert tried at it too. And what really stands out from the Schubert's Ave Maria is the way that Schubert mastered the modulation. Modulation means that if you want to find a way to move from one key in music to another very distant key that are practically not related, the two keys, well, you look at Schubert. Schubert has invented his own way of modulating to make it sound fluid, passing from one key to a very distant one without you realizing that you are in a totally different key now. And Schubert was a master at it. And the winds of change, again, that Schubert introduced with this music went on forever. And he was finally recognized as the master of modulation in music. So it wasn't Bach, it wasn't Beethoven, but it was Schubert. And here it is, the most famous composition by Schubert, the Ave Maria.
Roberto, just beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
And
you.
for those on, I have a slight change in our lineup. Welcome Pamela Bailey, our practitioner of the day, for our closing treatment.
All right. Thank you so much. I was going to do one earlier and it got changed. So here we go, closing it up for a beautiful service with wonderful thoughts. So if you would just join me in going into that place of God is. That place, that's all of it. That place that is every thought we have, everything we see, all of that. And the entire universe. That is what God is. And that beingness, I am, as Sue said, I have the potential to be all of that myself. And so this day, as I am looking at the winds of change with the capacities that I have, I'm so grateful that I can recognize them and I can allow myself to have the courage to do something new, to make a new choice, to recognize where I have repeating patterns and to say, oh, what would serve my highest good? What would serve the highest good of life itself right here, right now? I look to that question and I look to make new choices that empower me and others and that bring more light, more beauty, more grace, more love into this world. And here we have this beautiful day to enjoy, and we can go out and enjoy every moment of it and allow those winds of change to take us, to let go of our old habits and to let go of the comfortable things and be willing to change and to be willing to be in that unknown where we don't know how it will turn out. And yet we know that we are guided and that we have faith that God is, I am. And for this, I'm so grateful and I release it knowing all is well. And so it is.
Buzz, will you give our offertory and our giving opportunities, please? Will.
Well, are you asking for me?
Yeah, to do the offertory reading and the giving opportunities, please.
Lynn's on. Can she do it? Because I'm
Sure.
ready for that. Can you do it, Lenny?
Yeah, I sure can. It's on my docket to do.
Who's
So
on first?
yeah. Yes, this is a great opportunity. This has been an amazing deep dive today, and thank you to Reverend Pam and Dr. Sue. This is an opportunity to show our gratitude and to show that, yes, truly God is, money is God in action. So let's take the symbol of our offertory, let's put it on our hearts and repeat these words along with me. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. And that's the way it is. And of course, we're very grateful to you all for being here every Sunday and joining us and supporting us and watching our Sunday service. And if you feel that you've received value from this experience, please support our ministry with a tax-deductible donation. And you can visit our website at www.csl-pleasantvalley.org. And we accept PayPal and Zelle. And of course, there are other ways to show your gratitude and to bring abundance to our center and keep our center alive, because we're still there physically. The center's still there. You can mail your offering to us at CSL Pleasant Valley, 221 East Daily Drive, Suite number 1, Camarillo, California, 93010. Again, our website is www.csl-pleasantvalley.org. And our email is cslpleasantvalley@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Take it away, Rev Pam.
Thank you so much, everyone. And speaking of winds of change, we affirmed it, we knew it, and we recreated it on our program today, on our service today with all of the changes. So just dedicating this service to Reverend Betty Ann and all of you out there too. I just want to thank you. Thanks, Rev Betty Ann, behind the scenes, Alberto, Pamela Bailey, Buzz, our wonderful Spencer, who is the producer of this show, Marcia behind the scenes, who keeps us on track, Rev Lynn, Buzz, and Ivan Korlinski. Mwah! I love each and every one of you. Have a blessed, wonderful rest of your day, week, and life. And so it is.